rundown, the most logical way of putting together cash and with a, how would I phrase it, a modified or supercharged version of a GPP as well. So we'll get into all that and not making it very long here. But if you want to get more information and a thorough breakdown in detail on how I come up even more specifically with the players that can be used on a consistent or even inconsistent basis for tournament plays and lineups right now in any sport, then you just visit the link at the bottom of the page in the description area and go to the particular site there listed. So, of course, we're here on YouTube right now on this channel, looking at the Roto Grinders Just the Lines for the day. At this point in time, it's only about 40 minutes until the face-offs of these different various NHL games. So go over NHL first, of course. So here we are with looking at our over-unders, money lines, just to observe for the day here. The biggest or highest scoring game probably, and close game as well, New York Islanders and Carolina. So I noticed myself today that the New York Islanders, as I'm looking through power play kill stats, but the Islanders are very weak, even weaker than Edmonton, known throughout the years being a weak power play kill team. So the Islanders, if we can put together on any given site, really, more likely Draftkings, then we'll have ourselves a successful shot at like a PowerPoint play I recommend there for a tournament if we want to choose to use Carolina in this high over-under, high probability of PowerPoint play potential for Carolina. So interestingly then, let's go ahead and look at who we could potentially line up at that spot right away here. Let's see. For the starting goalies at dailyfaceoff.com. And since I had noticed that right away, just getting right into that part of it here, waiting on that. Okay. Oh, here's an interesting article right away you can look at, for daily fantasy stacking. Of course, if you want to go there, we're not going to review that at this time. We're just going to go right to the line combinations is what we need for Carolina. It's not normally a potent, powerful, offensive team, but however, versus this team, the Islanders' support defense should be good. So I can tell you right away who I like on the first power play unit. Excuse me, for Carolina, I like Aho and I like Teravainen as a high probability of good play options for tonight. Third guy, I'm not sure because you can and may want to stack. I'll find your, most correspondingly here how to go about finding the best available player. So if you do use or want to get the draft dashboard tool, also click on the same link at the bottom of the one listed. But going about doing that now over on Draftkings, as I just got to indicate to the system there, that's what I want. Lineup projection for Draftkings and looking at here various players. As we can see now listed already, Aho. So he's a priority play that we want to put in our lineups, along with Teravainen. There he is. I'm watching him already as well. Expected to average here 3.2 points, which, believe it or not, is a lot of points on DraftKings. So we can certainly go about using these guys and stacking at least the two in any kind of starting basis for our lineups there. So as far as anyone else that I've noticed in the same game, on the other side, Barzal, we could go with him. And he's all green and good to go there. All in the greens, just indicating everything really from projected points to overall defensive ranking to position ranking, how the team does against the centers in that position versus Carolina. The teams do well against Carolina as a weak defense there, as indicated here by these two numbers, 23rd and 23rd overall. So, and an 87th in the total system optimizer or algorithm, that's what we get. So now looking down as well here to see who else we could find. Perhaps we can look at this guy here as a case example as well from the same team, the Islanders. And we can look at his scoring. We just kind of want to look over and observe scoring the past several games. Most recently of which 18 minutes played, no points. 21 minutes, 21 minutes, 21 minutes. His minutes have been fine. And however, though, his number's not so consistent, only because of the recent 0-point, perhaps, debauchery. As in all the other recent games I'm showing here since about mid-February, the only other low-scoring one was a 0.5 on the 2nd of March, right here is indicated, versus the Canadians. So overall, though, he's been a consistent play, and perhaps he'll bounce right back. So for that logical reason, we can go ahead and watch him and put him in our lineup as well, as it's suggesting here. So there we go. Watching him. And we have a few options at goalie tonight, but the way I like to prioritize looking at a goalie is actually taking the points, projected points for and against. And so 3-6-5, obviously, Tampa Bay and Colorado is going to be high scoring as well. You can take from those matchups there. But going to the bottom of that, I noticed there was a bit change from earlier that Edmonton was like a 2.2. Now they're saying, well, we're going to get maybe, here's a plus 0.21, so a change in the line total right here. So that was about right. 2.1, trying to do the math in my head, sorry. 2.21 minus 35 is, 0.214 was that before. Now it's raised up a bit. So probably because Edmonton's playing against this he's not really a starting goalie, I noticed there. So, but he's a fine tournament play. If you want to go ahead and insert this Tampa Bay goalie into your lineup. But as for more as a cash game and safe play, prioritize here looking at Gibson because he is projected a point total of only 2.45 versus him, and the same can be said for the Colorado guy, Varlamov, as he's been doing okay recently, I noticed here as well. And they're likely to win because here the team being featured, Detroit and New Jersey, are not projected to win without any, being in the plus here for the money line. So as long as you understand the Vegas odds lines, unders, over and unders as far as that goes. So there we have, as I'm looking through, what you can generally do is, even though there's a much more precise and mathematical way, if you opt into the free report, also in the link below here in the description, you'll find out the more precise mathematical way, and you can do a mathematical calculation to make sure you have not so much deviation and get a consistent value and play at every position. But however, just as a general option and easier way to do so without spending a lot of time doing so much math, you can just take some of the players from those top lines, not top lines, but top teams for the day, and their projected points totals, and take some of those plays as the system calculates for you, obviously, some of the best matchups already. So it does not really factor that in here on this particular site. So looking at that, now you can get, remember any of those guys. Let's see who else we can find. This is another guy. He plays for Tampa Bay, Ryan McDonough. I don't know. He came back recently from an injury, but he might not get you what you expect at $4,800. So I'm going to go cheaper with other cheap options, perhaps, to get that kind of a play. Here's a guy from Colorado. They're projected with a high point total as well here. And let's look at his recent scoring. The last 5 games to get an idea. Recent value here, $1,424 a point, as opposed to a season average of $1,693. So perhaps that will level out to where he won't, because right now it's considered hot. So I don't believe that he'll actually, I won't count on him actually being as reliable. But with Colorado playing Detroit there at home, in a good matchup, of course, we could get some points out of him. So let's watch him, perhaps. In fact, if we want to get more detail, you can click on his name and get the whole past 10 games, like we did with the other player, and figure out, how many minutes, obviously, and the points totals. Let's see. There was a 0, a dud there, and a 1 point. So not too bad. He had 1 0-point game, and other times he's scoring around, probably his average of, as we can see here, 3.4 a game. So we can do that. So we'll stay targeted on him, watching him as well, as we'll try to muster up the lineup that we need here in just a few moments, and then moving on to the NBA. So let's find maybe one more player to watch before we bust out a lineup. Camo possibly from Colorado as well, as it next recommends this guy. Only 2.1 average a game there, so beware, as that's indicated in red as well. So it's something guy to think about, perhaps more for tournament play. We've got Kutsinzov with perhaps an injury though. Unclear if he will play. We won't take that risk in the cash game. Carlson I've always liked as a consistent value of a play in cash or otherwise. So in Vegas is also another higher point total. If you notice there below the other teams we looked at. So he's at home, got a good matchup. So we'll give him a shot here. Portier, I already set on watching him, and we'll do that. So we'll look at him as another different center, an option, and in fact perhaps a couple $100 less than Carlson. So that's fine. So we'll go with him. And also notice also Tyson Bear. He's been very good at defensively on that end as well. So one of the most point scoring defensemen recently in the past couple weeks. So we're going to watch him. And now we have enough players to go ahead and set ourselves a lineup here. So let's do that. So you drop down here to the lineup optimizer and you click on that and wait for the lineup. So this is our most optimal lineup now generated. Konensi, he's a good perhaps option to get us, because what will happen a lot of times is basically, you can do this and go according to the mathematics, but you probably won't finish in the top, let's say out of a 20-game cash tournament, you won't finish like in the top 5. You'll be around mid-range, so some games you'll barely be in the top 50%, which you don't want. So you want that guy to kind of separates, and I believe this could be a good play here, Coency, to kind of separate yourself, to put yourself more as a safer option in a way to get not in that 50% range, but more like in that 20% or 10% range, so you can ensure yourself of more so a victory in this case here. Aho and Nelson, I'm not sure about, but he plays for the Islanders, so we'll look at him as well. Carlson, Nemeth, he's always consistent. Actually, I like him for Dallas. That's fine with me. Oh no, he plays for Colorado. I'm sorry. So okay, cool. And Polak and Glanskog and the guy from Tampa Bay. I like this lineup. So actually, it's not too bad, but we have room for some upgrade. A lot of upgrade actually, so we can upgrade to the safer, let's say, goalie that we wanted, and that would have been I was looking for the Anaheim guy, but he's not here evidently. So looking at Andre Fleury perhaps, or Varlamov. Yeah, Varlamov was one of the better options for Colorado, so he's made perhaps a better goalie. And anybody else, we can just look at upgrading here. It's a really good sign-up lineup here, I believe. But as we can keep upgrading, we'll upgrade one more guy. Man, I like all these guys. Maybe perhaps this guy right here. We'll just see who's available. Bolivar for the Islanders, that's a possibility. Huh. He could be an overall better play than he's probably higher up in the line than the other guys, so we'll go with him. Let's just check the line to make sure. And we have generated ourselves an optimal lineup pretty fast. And let's go to the Islanders here. Sorry. Here he is. Islanders. Just to confirm, I mean, I'm pretty sure Bolivar is higher up in the line than that guy, Nelson, so maybe even on the power play as well, I'm sure. Let's see. Power play wise, I don't see any of them on the first line, but Balliver is on the second line, as well as Nelson. So both second guy, but Nelson, Balliver being second line, will take that, along with playing with a couple of good players, Bailey and Lee. So looking at him probably getting a point, right? So there we go. We got our upgrades. We got this ready to lock and load. Right at 5,000. Great lineup. So now we're going to head over to the NBA. There's a new feature added to this. Just change our lines over to the NBA version. Start pulling that up. Back over here. We don't need more with the face-off lines. This is added to projected value stat added. It's a bit of a complicated stat, but it's the most popular way of getting best value out of plays for today. Let's go straight to the studs, because I believe that would be the best way of finding solid cash games options here as well. All right, on Draftkings. Let's look at the slate available. We have 6 p.m. coming up. 3 games. That's as big as it gets. We'll have to take it if we want to play, get in the game. Right away, I see Aminu. Last night, interestingly, I played him, got me 35.5 points. Great. He might continue that trend here, as he is considered number 1 option power forward for the Blazers. They're playing the Clippers. That could be a high-scoring game if I'm right here. Let's see. Projected point totals. Yep, one of the highest ones. So, bam. He's a must-play option. Projected value, 5 is good. If you can get 6 or 7, go for it. So that's what you're looking at in this value range right here for today or any other day. 23 projected value points, as we may get more than that out of him. So very well with a good upside for today. Along with Lillard we can look at, even though they played yesterday, they could be tired away from home. So we don't want to get too risky and play too many Blazers, perhaps not. So it's up to you. His value is only at 471, so maybe not. His usage, though, is at 31%, obviously higher than Aminu. But let's see when we can get a better value somewhere instead. Boston, they're playing away from home, but they're fresh, meaning they didn't play last night. 23% usage, 5 value ranking, but let's get straight to the best value guys. Let's just arrange this here to see who we can get value-wise as a better play right away. Let's see. So because these are all players are already studs, and though it's a small slate, we've already established Aminu is the top value play. Followed by perhaps Chris Paul, who's on a slower pace down game because of playing the Timberwolves, and they played yesterday, and they're not at home. So not going to be such a great game for Paul. Perhaps not. But we're down to not so many options. We've got to pick somebody, and we've got to pick somebody fast here. So let's go with, at 498 value-wise, Jason Tatum. Okay. Harden we can never go wrong with. We'll keep him watched. Just because of the overall, perhaps, value. Studs and duds type philosophy. We're trying to look for some studs, or guys that are not so much studs. But the small forward, number 2 for Portland. Here's the thing. You never know, though, what's going to go on with these injuries and so forth and so on. Let's look at Portland's team usage in terms of starting players and all that for a moment here. Let's see. I'm going to go down here to the Trailblazers of Portland and find that team real quick here, right on the same tool. You've got to have this straight. It's difficult if you don't do this with NBA because it's a difficult fantasy sport. Where is it? Portland Trailblazers. Here we go. So we got to bring up the depth chart, right? We got to see what's going on. Are there any injuries? And there are not, and no significant injuries. So the starting 5 are Nurkic, Aminu, Lillard, Harkless, and McCollum. As far as anybody else on the bench, there is a couple of decent bench players such as Ed Davis and Napier. They get about 17, 18 points a game value, so not bad. Harkless, we're not going to mess with. He doesn't get enough points per game. So the other option here, best, obviously, is Lillard on the team. But, you know, the team, like I said, is not overall. Who else do we have in a slate we should seriously consider here for a moment? Houston and Minnesota. Um, Boston. New Orleans Pelicans versus Boston's. Favored in this game by 1 point perhaps. So maybe we can find a Pelicans guy to play. Let's see. New Orleans. There we go. And we can do the same thing from this screen. We can also watch the player if we decide to do so, as it's not a great matchup for them, so they're playing a good defense. However, these are probably one of the best players we're going to get out of this team. So let's watch him, J. Holiday. And I tell you what, I'm ready to go ahead and generate a lineup and sort out what we got. Lineup optimizer, same thing here for NBA. Generate the lineup on Draftkings. So we do have Harden. We fit him in. Wow. Along with Gordon. Okay, not bad. Aminu, Tatum. That's who we wanted. Capella. We'll have to play him because there's two teams, remember, that are probably tired. We got J. Holiday, more of a fresh player, along with Greg Monroe for Boston. But do we have any room for upgrades? Yes, we do. 800 left over. I don't know about this guy playing for Boston as a second stringer, so let's look at somebody else. There's perhaps another starting center if we can get one. Oh no, it's his utility play. Great, better. So we'll take Teague because he's a solid play, starting player. So I can't go wrong. With Harkless, we didn't really care for. Is there any room left in the salary? No. We have to take a down drop in a player just because we're playing a superstar Harden today. So there you go. There's there's the play for DraftKings. See you guys later.